Welcome to Let's Be Well Together podcast. We're your wellness check-in team. Join us each week or when you can. We enjoy exploring wellness concepts and reminding you to make time for wellness. This is episode 157.
And it's another week of Let's Be Well Together podcast. It's Sheila Webster here, and I am joined with John Webster.
Hello.
Hey, I saw this post, and it really interests me. And it's choose people who. So these are people who you should choose to be in your life. So I'll read through it.
So not choosing between them, but
no.
Okay.
These are all good people that if you have them in your life, that's good.
What you got?
Choose people who inspire you to be better. Love seeing you grow. Want to see you succeed. Show up for you. Honor your boundaries. Make you feel at home. Support and understand you. There you go.
Okay.
That's 7 types of personalities of people that you should have in your life.
Those are all good qualities. We won't have time to talk about all of them as per usual.
Yeah.
So why don't we try, I kind of have 2 that jump out at me. Why don't we each try and talk about a couple?
Sure. I have 2.
Time. So why don't you start with one of them?
Okay. So I really like the one that says wants you to succeed.
Okay.
Because often you can have friends in your life, and I find sometimes those friends, it's a kind of a competition at sorts, you know, if they're at work together or your family, but to have a friend who wants you to succeed and is really happy that you succeed instead of jealous or not happy, I think is really important. And you can really feel that support. When something good happens to you, it's really nice that someone can be happy for you, even though that good thing could be really great for them. You know, like you get a promotion and they didn't or something like that. And they're really happy for you and they're really think that you deserve it. And that, I think that's really, really important to have as a friend.
There are so many different directions I can take that in. A couple things that stand out to me. I remember there's a quote, and I don't remember the whole one, but basically it's saying you don't want to hang around people who belittle your ambitions. Mm-hmm. And part of that is judgment, right? So you want to see people succeed. You also have to be careful in telling them what they should succeed in, right? So I think what that's saying is choose the people who want you to succeed in the things you want to succeed in.
Right. Very true. Yeah.
And for those of us who want to be the people wanting people to succeed, we got to avoid a little bit of judgment, right? And we have to, and it ties in with something else we talked about a little while ago when people need help. Yeah. Don't assume what they need. Ask them what they need.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about another point. Inspire people who inspire you to be better. Mm-hmm. So is that the same thing? Inspiring to be better and hoping that you succeed? I don't think it's the same thing.
No, totally not. I don't think so.
Because somebody could inspire you to be better without having any knowledge of what you're trying to succeed.
Right. And I think someone who inspires you to be better is someone maybe you look up to as well. It's a little bit different. You know, they're inspiring you to do more, or, you know, they're just supporting you in that way.
I think a lot of young people too, myself included when I was young.
I thought you were saying myself included because I am young.
No, I'm definitely not young. But when I was young, I tended to not like people telling me what to do. And then, you know, I've come across all these quotes that talk about how with kids, you're better to be a good example than a boss. You know?
Yes.
And so, yeah, I can be inspired by people who set good examples, who are doing the things I hope to do. Another spin on this where I like both of them, though, is it doesn't say inspire you to be best.
Nope.
It doesn't say support you to be the best.
Nope.
It's supporting to succeed. It's inspiring you to be better. Mm-hmm. And this theme I'm going to keep coming back to all year and forever, which is always be growing, always be trying to improve, but don't worry about becoming competitive about it. Mm-hmm. I don't have to be better than Sheila. Mm-hmm. It would be amazing if both of us regularly go to the gym. It would be amazing if both of us exercise in ways that are good for us without ever having to compare each other.
Oh, for sure. Always inspiring to be better is excellent.
Yeah, and so that's subtle, but being better is a nice way to put it. Mm-hmm. What else you got?
Honor your boundaries. This is something that I find with friends more than in relationships, because sometimes when you're in a relationship, they have to kind of push the boundaries. But with friendships, I think it's really important that you honor people's boundaries. don't get in their face too much. Give them space if they need it. I think that's a really great friendship to have. If you have someone like that, keep them.
The problem I have with that is that it's really hard to know what boundaries are. Everyone's got so many different kind of approaches to boundaries. Like it took me
very true.
It took me years to figure out what some of your boundaries are.
Yeah, that's very true. And I guess then something to learn is to try and express your boundaries.
And, you know, we often talk about active listening. I really do think that if you don't do anything else in life, if you can just get good at listening to people who are talking to you, if you can just be good at being attuned to the people around you. And again, I remember hearing way back, somebody was trying to explain, someone said to a butler, like, what does a butler have to do? And he said something like, well, look, there's lots of rules and there's all these technicalities, but basically if you are attuned to the people around you and you're alert to their needs and you're there to help them address their needs, that's a good place to start.
That is a good place to start.
And so active listening, don't just talk over people. Hear what they're saying. Don't just get your points out.
Yes.
And I think as part of that, if you're active listening, you're also going to start to pick up on what people's boundaries are.
Yeah, I agree completely.
Can you think of an example of a boundary?
Yes, I can. For example, when Elise was having her baby, she was supposed to have her baby on the 31st. And I found it a little bit hard when people were texting me all the time. Has she had a baby yet? Has she had a baby? No, what's going on? And fine once, right? But like 5 times, you know? And
how could they tell though? Like, how would they know that that's a boundary for you?
Well, because I would say things like, or text things like, oh, it's not happening yet. I'll let you know.
Right. That's a good point.
I feel like if I say, I'll let you know, stop harassing me, that type of thing. Like, so that's just a recent one that I found. It was a boundary, so.
I get it. Cause I was there. It was very stressful.
Yeah.
There's a lot of reasons for it I won't get into, but it was a very stressful time for us.
Yeah.
Not just kind of the light, theory, things can go wrong. There were actual issues. And the fact that they weren't telling her when she could come to the hospital was creating a lot of problems. And I like to think we all did a great job, keeping the anxiety as low as was possible, but it certainly didn't help to have people adding to it.
No. So there's just one that I can mention.
All right. Well, I want to talk about one last one too, which is something I think is very undervalued. Just showing up.
Oh yeah. When I saw that, that's really important.
A lot of times I don't know what to do. A lot of times I'm not sure if showing up will help, but I know that sitting in the background and not doing anything won't help. And so we try, and I'm not good at it because part of me is antisocial.
Yes.
So this is something I struggle with. You're way, 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 way better at this. You always just show up. But so many times just showing up makes a huge difference.
It so has. There's been so many times in my life that I didn't want to show up, but I did. And it made me feel so much better, but I know that it definitely helped the person that I was showing up for. So yeah, just showing up is really important.
And that can be different things. Like showing up may not literally mean being there, but there's a lot of ways you can be there. And then if you flip the coin and I think about myself, because I'm also the kind of person, if I'm starting to spin, if I'm starting to go down, my tendency is to lock myself to myself. Like I'm an introvert. And so I want to get away from the world and everybody in the world. And so my thinking is just leave me alone. And I don't deserve anyone to be here. And the times where people did show up, I was like, that really helped. And so even though it's against the grain for me, I know that on the receiving end, just someone showing up, even if they're not saying anything.
Exactly.
Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. Maybe they're bringing me something, maybe they're not. But being there makes me feel better.
That's a great way to end.
Yeah, lots of really great tips. Hope you like them. Guests are giving their time, expanding our minds. Today's interview is in the category of mental wellness. We recently met Dr. Tracy McCarthy, a psychiatrist and physician who's helping patients address root causes of their conditions, including with a focus on nutrition, inflammation, microbiomes, and more. Welcome back, Dr. McCarthy.
Thank you.
Dr. Tracy McCarthy is a board-certified psychiatrist and Institute of Functional Medicine certified physician with over 2 decades of experience. She's the creator of the Natural Mood Solution online program and the founder and medical director of Dr. Tracy McCarthy Functional Medicine, where she supported thousands in transforming their health. As a wellness thought leader, and in her practice, Dr. McCarthy is dedicated to helping adults suffering from depression, anxiety, brain fog, fatigue, digestive issues, and hormonal imbalances by identifying and addressing the overlooked causes of these chronic symptoms. Her approach focuses on underlying issues, including mold toxicity, microbiome imbalances, and nutrient deficiencies, empowering her patients to regain their health and vitality. And so, Dr. McCarthy, last time you told us how you started working on your functional medicine approach, which aims to address root causes. And today I'd like to ask you about some practical steps. So maybe we can start by telling us a little bit about what are some ways to reduce inflammation.
Yes, I'd love to share this because I really believe that there's so much people can do on their own to really make a big difference. And it's about taking baby steps that add up. Not everyone needs to go see a functional medicine physician and do all the detective work that we were talking about last time. It can really make a difference to do some fundamentals. The first thing I would say is to focus on an anti-inflammatory diet. And what do I mean when I say that? Well, first of all, it means taking out the things that are inflammatory for everybody, things that we know are universally inflammatory, like highly processed foods, for example, with lots of sugar and what we would call really damaged fats, like canola oil and soybean oil and these high omega-6 fats that are very, very inflammatory.
Olive oil is better. What are the oils that are better?
Yes. Mm-hmm. So these oils that are made from grains, like seed oils, they are high in this kind of omega-6 fat, which is just like turning on the inflammation in the body. And they're often also pretty oxidized and damaged. So they're not good. And they're cheap and they're in everything. So they're like restaurant fried food is usually going to be fried in those oils. But on the other hand, olive oil, avocado oil, coconut oil for many people is totally fine too. And you need the healthy fats. You need them badly.
Right. So I'll let you get right back to what you were saying. But someone once told me an analogy that I just like the mental image, which is some of the oils like olive oil. They said, think of it like nice round marbles flowing through your system. But some of those other oils you mentioned, it's almost like little pieces of broken glass and it's like going through and it just always reminds me, don't have those bad oils. But anyway, I interrupted you.
Yeah, it's good to give a way to remember them, right? Because they really are damaging. It almost makes you think they were talking about trans fats, which are fortunately mostly gone from things now, but those trans fats are kind of shaped different, and they are very, very damaging. That's one of the ways that you get an anti-inflammatory diet is taking out the things that are kind of universally inflaming. Some things are maybe inflaming for certain people, and that's a whole nother topic of like identifying personal triggers. Like, for example, for one person, dairy might be fine, but for another, it's a problem. Depends on who you are. But the other thing is to add nutrient-dense foods. So eating the variety of colorful vegetables, having an adequate clean protein, meaning like organic meats, grass-fed meats, wild-caught fish, making sure you're having this like the food that will actually fuel you and has lots and lots of vitamins, not empty, not those old empty calories. We've heard that term for a long time, right? So anti-inflammatory diet, if we're eating that most of the time, that has an enormous difference right off the bat in reducing inflammation. So that's where I would start.
I can't help but ask because people who listen to my show know that I love exercise and we're always saying move that body and do all kinds of exercise. Does exercise help with inflammation?
Yes, but there is a caveat to that.
Okay.
So you need exercise in the right dose. It has a fancy name called a hormetic stressor, which means that it's a stressor if it's too much and it's a stressor if it's too little. You need the sweet spot. So people who are not exercising, that's promoting inflammation. And then if someone's significantly over exercising, that's also promoting inflammation. They're not having a chance for any repair and it's like too stressful for the body. So you do absolutely want to be exercising and moving your body. I actually think of exercise in two ways. I think of movement and then I think of exercise because some of it is like basic, like steps, not sitting all day, that kind of movement. And then there's the like are you doing some strength training? Are you doing, whatever it is, cardio? Like there's kind of two that are both important. But yeah, very, very, very important. And one cool little tip about exercise, especially all that movement, the walking, it increases something called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic hormone, which is like fertilizer for your brain. It's really good for your brain.
That's great.
It's very important.
Yeah, well, I like your message too, because in addition to saying, get out there and move your body, exercise, first of all, I agree. Like for me, I think of use the stairs when you can instead of an escalator. That's just kind of movement. And I think of aerobic exercise, so running or whatever. And I think of strength training, but I also think of core is a little different. Core training is a little different than strength training. So I think people should be doing all those things, which is fantastic.
Yeah, I agree.
But I also think it's really important to rest, right? So I actually didn't start running till I was older. And so I make a point, unless it's a really light run, like there's something called a recovery run, which I might do the day after a long run. But otherwise, I always give myself a day off in between because I want to give myself time to rest. And that's a message we keep saying.
I could not agree more. And I think about strength training. Well, for all of it, it's true. But like for the strength training, if you aren't giving yourself those rest days, you're not even getting the benefits of it because you stress your body with the weight, lifting the weights, and then you build the new muscle during the recovery time. Like that's when you're actually improving right. Is when you're resting. So yeah, critically important.
It blows me away how our bodies are so adaptable and that we can change them by this kind of stuff.
So cool,
it really
right?
is amazing. Now, another thing you talk about, we talked a little bit about inflammation. You also talk about nutrient deficiencies. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so lots and lots of people are missing key nutrients. And we talked last time about the hardware of the brain. It can't work if it doesn't have everything it needs for like the cells to function. So there are a lot of ways people can have nutrient deficiencies. They may not have these components in the diet, like not having adequate protein, or maybe they're eating a vegan diet and not supplementing with B12, or maybe they never have any fish and don't have omega-3 fats. So these are very common that you could not be even getting them in your body. Or you might be eating all of these and being very careful about your diet and really thoughtful and intentional, but you might not be absorbing things well or digesting them well. That's another problem I see a lot. And so, making sure that both of these things are happening is key. And you have to supplement wisely also if in certain situations. So I mentioned like the vegan diet for B12, if you're not eating fish, but just having an awareness, like there's certain things that aren't really in the food system anymore the way they should be, like magnesium. It's been really depleted from the soil, so it's not in our vegetables and stuff as much as it was. So that's one that commonly people need to supplement with. And some people have higher needs because of their exposures and their genetics. So they might need an additional B complex, for example, extra B vitamins in addition to what they're eating.
And another thing you talk about is microbiome, which is a term I'm not familiar with.
Yeah.
How does that relate to these things, including inflammation and these other aspects of our health?
Yeah, so the microbiome is all the bacteria and viruses and fungi, even parasites sometimes, living in or on us, on our skin and in our gut. The majority of the microbiome is in the large intestine, like 99% of it. In fact, if you were to add up all that bacteria, it weighs like 2 to 3 pounds in each person. It's like another organ. And these bacteria are doing tons and tons of jobs for us. We co-evolved with these. We need them there. They're helping break down things and detoxify. They're helping produce compounds we need. They can make, when we have the right bacteria there, they can make anti-inflammatory chemical messengers that help our body. They can make neurotransmitters. For example, GABA, which is a relaxing neurotransmitter, they can produce that gets absorbed into the bloodstream and goes to the brain. They're doing many, many things. And when we don't have them in the right balance, we can be missing what we need. And they can also be really promoting inflammation. Certain overgrowths of bacteria are very inflammatory. And so, you can have an immense impact on the brain by shifting the microbiome. There's all kinds of cool studies now that I could go on and on about. I'll give you a dramatic example. A few years ago, a great study came out about something called a fecal transplant. That's like shifting the microbiome dramatically in children with autism and a huge change in their symptoms. And that's the only thing that was changed, right? Not their diet, no medications or anything like that. But there's lots and lots of examples of these kinds of studies where you can shift, you can add a probiotic and people become less anxious if it's the right strain, or they sleep better. The microbiome is really interacting with our whole system in our brain. And so it's really important to attend to it. And that's where eating a nutrient-dense diet, that's going to feed the right microbiome. And avoiding the processed foods feed the bacteria you do not want to have overgrown.
Okay, and I hear a term antioxidants and oxidation, and it's kind of in some of the contexts that you're talking about. What can I know about that?
Well, yeah, so we have this thing called oxidative stress in the body. So in every one of our cells, we have these little energy factories called mitochondria. I kind of think about them like the fireplace or the furnace in the cell. And so they're like burning the logs. The logs are the glucose or the fatty acids to produce the energy that we need. And so there's like smoke and there's there's side effects to this. Some of that is free radicals that have to be kind of collected and taken care of before they damage things. So these antioxidants help us stimulate our body to produce our own antioxidants, which then quench those free radicals. So if we don't have enough of that going on, we're going to have a lot of damage happening just from the normal metabolism in the cells. And we get those antioxidants from all kinds of the colorful vegetables, like these different compounds in them. And they're really, really important for calming that oxidative stress and that damage.
We're hearing about a lot. And I want to ask about then your kind of practical approach in functional medicine. So I take it then, so me as an individual, there's certain foods that will cause inflammation to everybody. There's some that might cause it to me, but not someone else. I might have my own kind of microbiome issues. I might have my own situation where even if I'm eating the correct nutrients, I'm not absorbing them for whatever reason. And is functional medicine trying to figure me out and figure out how these things work and how I make adjustments?
Yes, exactly. That's exactly right.
Okay.
And I mean, whether that's like reading a book from this approach and starting to learn some pieces to do, or like my course in Natural Mood Solution is focused on teaching people a lot of these foundational pieces, or maybe you've done a lot of that and you need to go farther and then partner with a physician who's going to do the testing to go even deeper. And that all of that is with this idea of exactly what you said, finding those imbalances.
I'm going to put a link in the show notes to your resources, but where can people look to find more information about how to get in touch with you and how to find out about these programs?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram at Dr. Tracy McCarthy, and I have a freebie that your listeners might like to download. It's called the Top 10 Overlooked Causes of Anxiety and Depression and Brain Fog. And it's just an easy to digest, no pun intended, list of things to start to think about to help you understand what steps you might take to help yourself in this. And then my practice website in California here, it's drtracymccarthy.com. And, I mentioned my online program. If you download that free guide, that would lead you to information about that, the Natural Mood Solution.
Really interesting stuff. And I hope people are getting a lot out of it when they contact you. And, from the last time, there's a question I ask every guest. But just before I turn that, I don't want to lose an opportunity to ask, is there anything else you wanted to tell us about these like practical steps in this approach?
I guess what I'd say is like, when you start to learn about this, it could be overwhelming because there's all these different things you could do. And the trick is to notice one area where you think, I feel like I could make that step, that baby step, and just do that. And when that's easy, then you can go find the next baby step. And these things add up and then they make a big difference. But Rome was not built in a day. So don't try to do it all at once. That doesn't work. But do persevere and keep taking one step in front of the other, because that will make such a difference to your health. And it really is, it's such an experiment that's worth doing, because you will start to see how you feel better, and things that you weren't even thinking about or hadn't even noticed were wrong. You'll suddenly be like, oh, that weird rash went away, or I'm sleeping so much better, or my mood is better. So I just encourage you to take the baby steps, and but don't overwhelm yourself.
I'm a fan of baby steps. My experience in my life is I would try and do everything and it wouldn't work. But then I would try and do baby steps, and you succeed in one little thing, and that gives you a little confidence, and you succeed in another and another. And next thing you're on a roll and you're believing in yourself. And so I really like that approach. So here we are back to the question that we ask every guest. And as you know from the last time, we explore different areas of wellness in the context where we all have these areas, but we realize we can't keep them all going at any given time. So we do our mini wellness check-in. So how about today, Dr. McCarthy? Are you currently neglecting an area of wellness in your life? And if so, can you think of even one thing you could do to foster wellness in that area?
Yeah, there's definitely one thing that has been on my mind, which is I tend to be very, very busy doing, learning, taking care of my family, all the things, taking care of my patients. And one thing that I know is that time where you take a pause for some kind of meditation or a quiet time for your brain is really, really important. And I'm not great about doing it because I love to be getting stuff done. So I have to fight that battle. And so I think the trick for me is to not try to tell myself I'm going to meditate for 20 minutes. That's not going to happen because, again, baby steps, right? And what I've been leaning towards is to use a tapping app. If you've heard of EFT, which is emotional freedom technique or tapping, it's a nice sort of quick, sort of guided meditation tool that can help with kind of calming the nervous system, shifting out of that go state. And I think that I just need to commit to doing that, doing a couple minutes once a day with something where I don't have to come up with it myself. If I use an app, it's going to give me a suggestion. That's, I think, my next step, something very doable, but gets me in the habit, and then it will build. I can think of, for example, I was never good at stretching because I wasn't flexible, but I finally made a habit out of it. And then I started to like it and it grew, and then I got better at it. So it's like that. I need to just take that next step.
Oh, I definitely have to stretch, but I'd never heard of the tapping thing or EFT, so I'm going to look into it. And
yeah, it's a really cool tool.
I often walk to work, and I like long distance running, and I think that's when I get my kind of downtime. I'll often listen to music or audiobooks or whatever, but I really feel like, especially when I walk to work in the morning, I feel like I get to work energized and I can do more problem solving because I've done that than if I'd actually worked an extra hour. So yeah, no, I wish you luck with all that. And it sounds like a great idea.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, thanks very much for 2 really interesting interviews. It sounds like you're doing amazing stuff, and we appreciate you sharing it with us.
Well, John, thank you so much for having me. It's been a real pleasure.
We're glad you're here, and we hope you're making wellness a priority. Hope you're getting something out of the podcast. And especially for people who are new, you might not know that the podcast was inspired by my book, Accidentally Well by John Webster. It's available on Amazon, Indigo, Barnes & Noble, pretty much anywhere where you can buy books online. And this is my pitch for you to buy a copy and have a read. I think it'll enhance the experience of the podcast, and it will also help us defray some costs because it's really expensive putting out a podcast. So grab a copy if you can. And in the meantime, enjoy the rest of the show. It's me.
Yeah. Just let me say, flip side of the coin.
As we record this, it is 2 months and 3 days after we became grandparents. I am sure that we could do 100 episodes on what it's like. But why don't we just do a quick flip side, because that's having such an impact on our family relationship, on our personal relationship. So far, all good. And just have a quick chat about what are some of the kind of initial impressions about changing to grandparents. And I'll try and ignore the one where I'm like Shirley MacLaine in the movie Terms of Endearment, where I'm like, why is it great to be a grandparent? Like, how can I be that old? So let me just ignore all that side of it.
Yeah, because I totally am ignoring all that side of it. Like being a grandparent, being old. Like, no, I just like, it's like being a parent, but not like, it's kind of like renewed parenting. So I'm looking at it more like that.
One thing I really enjoy looking at it as is I'm both a parent to our daughter, Elise, and kind of to Stephen. Not really a parent, but support. So when you're there, you're both with them. You're getting to experience the parent side. And then separately, we've got this new relationship with our grandson, Michael, and we're doing like parenting type stuff for Michael, helping to feed and help them go to sleep and all that stuff. And so it's almost like it's both parenting and grandparenting at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's been absolutely great. Like he is just so adorable and it's really nice to get to know him. And we had this experience where, oh my God, this is a person. Like how cool is it that there's just a person created? Like it's just so cool.
You did say it's all positive, or maybe I did too, but it's also like it is positive in a sense, but my goodness, I forgot how much work it was.
Oh my goodness.
And it's like you get into this loop, this routine.
Yeah.
Try and put him to sleep. Sleeps. Wakes up. Needs to change diaper. Need to feed. A little bit of playtime, but not too much.
Not
because
too
you
much.
don't want to overexcite them. And they're supposed to go back to sleep. And this is like a repeating loop. This is your whole life. 24 hours a day, every 3 or 4 hours, you go through this loop. And God forbid anything happen. Like they're not going to sleep. And I can imagine thinking, oh my God, I'm going to pull my hair out. Like, how do you keep doing this endlessly? And we only have to go in for we just whip in for little sessions.
Yeah. Cause the problem is that we do literally have to whip in because they're far away. It's a 3-hour drive or 2-hour drive. So for us, when we go for a few days. So we're involved the whole time. It's not like we just go and take them for 2 hours or take him for 2 hours. So we're there. And sometimes I'm concerned that we are doing something wrong. And sometimes we are doing things wrong. It's like we get in trouble because the one time we were like, we're going to take care of him at night. Like they didn't leave the house, but they went into another room and just watched TV and we were taking care of him and we couldn't get him to sleep.
No. And meanwhile, if we don't get him to sleep and then he's overtired, then it makes it even worse.
Yeah.
So then you're sitting here going, oh my God, I'm performing for my kids.
And we couldn't get him to sleep. And the thing is that it just didn't seem like the right thing to do to force him to go to sleep, like really, really push it because he was happy. He was content. He was talking. He was socializing. He did look tired. He had the tired eyes, but I guess he has to go to sleep. So I was like, oh no, we've ruined his whole schedule because we didn't get him to sleep in time. But it was okay.
And another side to it is I'm really surprised by how kind of smitten I am with a grandchild. Like I've seen lots of babies. I've seen lots of kids over the years. But when I'm sitting there and either I'm feeding him or I'm holding him or he's on the ground playing and he's looking up and like the connection he makes with his eyes. And you really feel like you're connected to this person in some special way because of the kind of the blood connection. It's a really amazing feeling. And especially in the sense of I'd forgotten how little babies are. So I've really been enjoying that too. And you're trying to think, what are they thinking, if anything? I'm really curious. What do babies see? What do they hear? What do they think?
Yeah. And talking to them and stuff. And it is really great to see Stephen and Elise with the baby. Oh,
I know. That's been amazing too. Like to see how they take care of him and
react to him and what
how great their instincts are.
And
you're just sitting there going, wow, what a great thing to see.
What a great thing to see. And it's great to have a grandchild.
Yeah. So those are some first impressions. I'm sure from time to time we'll come back with more impressions. And I'm also sure that as the baby gets older, things change.
Yeah. He'll be telling us what to do for sure.
Yeah. Please remember that we're not providing advice. We hope to inspire you to work towards balance, and we urge you to consult with qualified people if you need advice. The people on the show are speaking in their personal capacities. Their views expressed are their own, and don't represent the views or opinions of their outside contacts, their employers, or anyone else. We try to get things right, but we can't guarantee everything we say is correct, or that the things we talk about will work for you. Let's be well together, and let's be sure to do that in a safe way.
And it's sign-off time. It's Sheila here with John and Elise.
Hi.
Hello. Hey. Well, I have had an exciting week. I started off with doing an event called Kindness by Kate. My niece, Kate, who died. Every month, we do something just to remember her, and she was an amazing cook. So we made pot stickers. They were vegetarian, and they were delicious, and that was a lot of fun. And then I got to see a 2-week-old baby on Friday. I went to see Amanda's baby. She is my niece, and she was adorable. And I had my family Christmas party at my house, and that went very well. Got to play games, and we had Thai food, and it was just really great that we could all get together as adults with no kids and grandkids, and it was great. So I had a lot of social stuff going on. It was really, really cold at work. I froze quite a bit. One more little story. I was doing a workout with my son, who's younger than me, obviously, and his girlfriend. And I can't walk today. Oh my gosh, we were doing legs. I was like, what am I thinking? They're 30 years younger than me. I shouldn't be, pushing myself as hard as they are. But there you go. What about you,
It's fun
Elise?
to try to keep up.
It is. It's fun. And you know what? I was keeping up and I was doing great, but I'm probably in worse shape now. I'm feeling it a lot worse than they are. What's new with you, Elise? Haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've been able to do a sign off. So trying to think kind of what's been going on. But I guess the big thing is that my husband, Steven, has gone back to work since taking his paternity leave. So I've just been settling into kind of a routine with myself and my baby, Michael. And it's been going really well. He's very smiley and chatty. He's just at a really great stage right now. And he just loves playing with his toys. So that's really great to see all the growth that he goes through. And it seems like every day there's something new, which is really exciting. And I've added a workout routine into our daily schedule. So I've gone back into working out, which I didn't really do a lot during my pregnancy because of some complications I had. So it's been really nice to move my body and use different muscles again and just different stretches. It's been so nice. And that's usually how I start my day. I do my workout while Michael plays with his gym. So we work out together. It's great.
So cute.
How about you, John?
Well, I'm enjoying the videos you post. I know you don't do it on social media, but you have your kind of private site, and he's so chatty and his voice is so interesting, and it's going to change and we won't ever hear it again. But right now it's really fun to watch and all the smiles.
So cute.
And when Sheila said that she had a family party, she's got 9 brothers and sisters. It was a big party. We had a lot of people and it was a lot of fun. So I'll talk about a few quick things from last week. First of all, I'm finally back into the groove at the gym. I don't know why, but every year where I have to get back to the gym and onto the treadmill, I'm a bit nervous. Like, oh no, I don't know if I can do a treadmill and it's so hot in there. But I'm really grooving now, so that's good. And last week, walking to work, whoa. I hope those are the coldest walks I've done, because like one day it was minus 20 and windy.
Yes, I was so worried about you.
So I had I have kind of a mask on and all kinds of stuff. It was pretty funny. I don't know what you call those things you put over your neck, but it's kind of like this stretchy material. So it's not a scarf, but it's really cool because you can pull it right over your nose. So some cold walks. And also I've been experimenting making protein rolls. So I'm trying to eat healthy again. And so for my afternoon snack, I like to have one snack after lunch before supper, but I want it to be healthy. And I found something where you can make it with oatmeal and coconut and different stuff and flaxseed and chia seed. And after 3 or 4 tries, I think we're onto something good.
They were very good.
Okay, well, thanks everyone for joining us. We hope you enjoyed the show. And as we say each week, hope to see you next week.
That is it for today's show. Please try and make wellness a priority.
You deserve it.
If you feel the need to talk to someone or ask for help, please do that.
Accept yourself for the person you are.
So long.
Adieu.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Goodbye.